I feel like I view the world differently than other people. And I know what you're sitting there thinking, well, Jesse, that's because you're smarter than everyone else. A lot of that's true. I mean, that's why everyone calls me Jesse the Oracle Kelly now. But what I find to be really, really, really strange is America's views on racism. And understand this constant racial tension we have here, that is kind of a uniquely American thing. I've talked to people like the first contributor, Sydney Watson. She gets on and she talks about how Americans view race very differently than Australians because she's Australian. I've talked to my buddy in Britain, and he says Americans view race very differently. We don't argue about it in that way. And here's the truth of the matter. People all hold some sort of prejudice. Racism is not a uniquely American invention. Countries have been racist throughout the history of the world, always have been, always will be, because it's human nature to have some kind of prejudice. I'm better than that guy. We're better than them. Well, they're dumb. Well, I hate them. It's just human nature. It's how our minds work. It's part of our flaws. I mean, for you who have flaws, I wouldn't know what that's like. But here's the deal. Americans are so obsessed with racism for a variety of different reasons that they try to assign it to everything. But here's the problem. When you assign something to everything, you water down the word. Let's say you really believe, and it may be true, let's say you really believe there is still systematic racism in the United States of America. Does it help that cause to point at each and every incident between a white guy and a black guy and say, that's racism? Well, no. Now you water down the cause. Now when the next time somebody hears the word racism, you know what they do? Okay, here we go again. That's what they do. And if you do care that much about it, shouldn't you treat the word with more care? Shouldn't you? We have that horrible video out of Minneapolis. I have chosen not to show it to you. It's ugly. It's easily accessible if you have a desire to see it. I know so many of you watch this show with your kids. It's ugly. And it's not one of these short-clipped cop videos. You can't see what goes on. There's a reason you've never heard me really address a cop video on this show, because I don't know what happened. I don't know the context. It's not long enough. This one's very much long enough. A cop sits there with his knee on the back of the guy's neck until he dies, and you watch it, and it's awful. It's murder. On top of bad police work and everything else, it's murder. And immediately, without a moment's hesitation, it seems like the whole of the country decided this was a racist incident. It could have been. For all I know, for all you know, this guy could be the Grand Wizard of the KKK. But also, keep in mind, for all you and I know, this guy might be married to a black woman and have 20 black kids. Everybody, all of his friends might be, but we don't know that part of it. What we do know is that's murder. That's what we do know. So why this effort to instantly make it about race? I don't understand it. I guess my mind just works differently. I'll never get that. We can find out if it's about race and dig into it there. But why do we have to automatically assign it to that every single time? And I'll tell you something else that's going to upset you. This isn't just a problem on the left. Oh, don't get me wrong, the normal race hustlers like Al Sharpton are all over it. He sent out a message on social media today, first thing, I'm on my way to Minneapolis. Woohoo! He's living high on the hog. But this is a problem on the right, too. You see, we have people on the left, like known race hoaxers like LeBron James. They're, of course, going to act like they're the civil rights leaders during this time. I'm standing for you. Just like the time I got racist graffiti on my gate, and then someone erased it before the cops showed up. But people on the right do this thing because they've been accused of racism for so long, and they're so beaten down by it, and they're so anxious to prove somebody wrong. As soon as something like this comes out, we get we have to stop this racism. This is racism. Nobody even questions this racism. Whoa. We don't know that. It certainly could be. We don't know that. And when I pose the question to my friends on the right who stand up and scream racism right off the bat, you know what I get? Well, can't you see? Well, yeah, I can see. I don't know what's inside of his head. Do we have some old Facebook posts or something like that? Do we have any indication? Well, it's obvious. Okay, screaming, it's obvious at me does not prove something to me. Show me. Show me. And here's the issue with it. Everything I just talked about, the race hoaxers like LeBron and Sharpton, the people on the right trying to be very, very not racist, what's happening right now in Minneapolis is partially your fault. It's partially your fault. We had the president who was all over the case. The president of the United States was all over the police and justice. Puts out a tweet saying, quote, "At my request, the FBI and the Department of Justice are already well into an investigation as to the very sad and tragic death in Minnesota of George Floyd. I have asked for this investigation to be expedited and greatly appreciate all the work done by local law enforcement. My heart goes out to George's family and friends. Justice will be served." Okay, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. He was all over the incident itself. We were going to get the information. These cops weren't going to get off scot-free. When the prez himself is putting it out there, we're not getting off scot-free. We were going to dig into this and get justice. But no, we couldn't just do that, could we? We had to throw our racism flags up, and racism, we're going to stop racism. America's racist, the cops are racist, race. And now, look at what's happening in Minneapolis. That is not some third world dump that was just bombed out that you're looking at. That's happening right now. In the United States of America, that's happening right now. Once before they did that, or once they were done there, they decided to go shopping at Target as well. Have you seen what they've done to this Target? Look at that. In the United States of America, and breathe it in. Don't turn it off. Breathe that in. If you're one of these people who spent the last 24 hours talking about racism, we got racism and race. Everything's racism. It's clearly racist. You own part of that. Part of that is on you. Stop revving up the race card every single chance you get. We can deal with injustice. We can deal with injustice by law enforcement without whipping people into a race frenzy. How long is it going to take us in this country to learn that lesson? I'm not saying this wasn't a racist incident. I have no idea. But neither do you. Neither does anyone else. We don't know anything race-related as of this moment when it comes to these cops. Now think about the loss of life and property damage we already have based on what might be a lie, based on something that's quite possibly not even true. Does that seem right to you? It's not right. It's not. Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.